Good afternoon. I'm Judy Singer. I'm the Senior Vice Provost for Faculty Development and Diversity, and I want to welcome everybody to this wonderful event where we're going to hear not just from featured speakers in your invitation, but from other speakers as well. You'll notice there are 3 people on the stage, but I'll reveal that in a second. And in addition, we have guest chefs from the Harvard Dining Services, but also several local restaurants that you'll learn about in a few minutes. I wanted to say welcome to 4 very different groups of people who are here. First and foremost, the scientists and the chefs who have created this course with the really sexy title, The Science of the Physical Universe 27. 500 people showed up. 700 people tried to lottery into 350 places. Science and cooking from haute cuisine to soft matter science sounds a lot sexier, and it is in fact. This course is a wonderful illustration of general education and what the general education curriculum is trying to do for Harvard College, and I dare say for Harvard faculty. I'd also like to welcome people from the Radcliffe Institute for Advanced Study. They have been very generous in donating the space in which this event is held, and also in featuring items from their historic cookbook collection, which are actually on display upstairs. And after I finish, before the chefs speak, they're going to say a few words about what the resources are of the Radcliffe Institute. We also have several local celebrity chefs who will ply you with food and wine afterwards. But most importantly for me, this is the Harvard faculty. If you take a look around you, we actually have just under 10% of the latter faculty at Harvard here. And there are too few events, I think, as a faculty member, where we get to come together as faculty from all schools, all ranks, all disciplines, and actually talk about something we all love, food. Discovered that there are a lot of foodies on the faculty. The response to this has been intense. And one of the things we're hoping that will happen here is that people will talk to people that they don't know, and they'll make those kinds of chance connections which can lead to future connections, collaborations, things you never know, a course on science and cooking, for example. This is the 3rd year we're holding Provost's Arts and Cultures events for faculty. The idea was to bring faculty from the university together and to expose them to the assets and the riches of the university. We've held events in the art museums, at the American Repertory Theater. We have a whole host of events scheduled for this year. And the idea is, as faculty, we often don't get to see behind the scenes how things happen. We should be able to go into the stacks at the libraries. We should be able to talk to the directors of the theater. We should be able to talk to the guest chefs who are participating in a class and really understand something that, as a faculty member, speaks to our intellectual interests, but also gives us a sense of play and culture and art and things that we might not have thought about in our daily lives. I also want people to feel connected to the university. We've got people from the Longwood campus, from the Alston campus, from Harvard Yard, from all the different parts of Cambridge here, and all too often we don't feel part of the university. And I think it's very important for faculty to feel like they're not just members of their school or the department, but also faculty at Harvard University. You shouldn't have to wait 10 years for a dinner invitation to the Honor Ends dinner. There should be an opportunity for you to really be part and parcel of the university. I just want to say a brief word about Gen Ed, of which this class that we're going to hear about is an example of. Harvard College overhauled its general education curriculum in the last 2 years, and part of what it's trying to do is connect students to learning in the real world. And there's obviously no other way to faculty brains than through their stomachs, and clearly to student brains than through their stomachs. And I think this is a great illustration of out-of-the-box thinking about general education that I hope you all go back to your schools and talk with your deans and talk with your colleagues about what you're seeing here and how you can take what you're seeing here and apply it to your school or your department to dream up a Gen Ed class that might inspire students in different ways. So I'm going to stop here and turn the podium over to Marilyn Altieri from the Schlesinger Library, who's going to say a word about the cookbook collection, and then we will hear from our speakers. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. I'm Marilyn Altieri. I'm the curator of books and printed materials at Schlesinger Library, and I'm delighted to welcome you all and introduce you to the fabulous resources in culinary history that are part of Schlesinger's collections. As you probably know, Schlesinger is renowned as a premier women's history research library in the country. But we are also home to one of the world's most outstanding collections on the history of cooking and food. Upstairs on the track, we've assembled a sampling of our treasures, and after the talk, we hope you'll have a chance to go upstairs and have a taste of those goodies. Our collection began with the transfer of 1,500 historic cookbooks from Widener Library in the 1960s, because it was thought that they belonged in the new Women's History Library. Some feminists who were eager to leave cooking behind at that time disagreed, but the collection immediately began to attract interest, and donations of major cookbook collections from other collectors ensued. The chief of these was Julia Child, who donated not only her substantial book collection, but all of her papers as well. Our culinary collection, which is international in scope, now stands at 18,000 volumes, hundreds of periodicals, thousands of pamphlets and other ephemera, such as menus, and a very significant collection of community or charitable cookbooks from all parts of the country going back to the 1860s. We also have the papers of Julia Child, MFK Fisher, Elizabeth David, and others. We have collections on the history of vegetarianism and food cures and many other special subjects. And these collections exist in the midst of superb and deep holdings on the history of women in America, which gives them a unique context and perspective. Much culinary information is also embedded in our women's history sources, and in fact, many other Harvard libraries hold materials that will eventually be recognized as critical to the study of food, including agriculture, chemistry, animal science, botany, economics, medicine, business, law, public policy. And as was true in the early days of women's history, there are many untapped culinary resources out there. But there is no better place to start, however, than Schlesinger. We're open to the public. Our resources are used by scholars from around the world. And now we're seeing a huge upsurge of use and interest from undergraduates as well. And our outstanding public services staff are ready and available to help you with the use of these collections. They're also willing and able to do presentations for classes, and we hope you'll avail yourselves of their help. My predecessor, Barbara Haber, not only built the collection, but wrote a fascinating book on the history of food in America, from hardtack to home fries. And I'd like to introduce Barbara Ketchum-Wheaton, who is the honorary curator of the culinary collection at Schlesinger and also the author of Savoring the Past, the French Kitchen and Table from 1300 to 1789. We will both be here to speak with you and answer your questions about the materials on display. So please do take a moment to come upstairs, but irony of ironies, I have to ask you not to bring any food or drink up to see the books on food, and use your eyes only, please. But our display includes Italian and Spanish works from 1601 and 1760, Maria Schellhammer's 1723 Brandenburg cookbook, the first cookbook published by a former slave, the 1881 What Mrs. Fisher Knows About Old Southern Cooking, handwritten manuscript cookbooks from the 18th and 19th century from the collection of Sophie Coe, an anthropologist, etiquette books that belong to Arthur Schlesinger Sr., the wartime edition of The Joy of Cooking with food substitutions listed, cookbooks such as the Can Opener Cookbook, the Single Girls Cookbook, African American, Jewish, Armenian, Alaskan, and Finnish American ethnic and community cookbooks, and of course, some of the books of our guests, Ferran Adria and Harold McGee and Jose Andres, and also by one of our chefs, Jody Adams. So thank you so much for your interest, and I look forward to mingling with you later.
Good afternoon. My name is Lisa Carriagalo. I'm the Assistant Provost for Faculty Development and Diversity. And on behalf of the university and the Provost Office, I'd like to welcome you to this very special event. Bona tarda, bienvenguts a aquest esdeveniment molt especial la Facultat de Harvard. On behalf of the university, we are delighted this afternoon to welcome in our midst 3 culinary and food legends. And before I introduce them, I would like to just offer some acknowledgments and thank yous to the many wonderful people who contributed to this magnificent event. This event is truly about the power of collaborations and innovative, out-of-the-box thinking about how faculty engage with innovators and leaders inside and outside of the academy. So first and foremost, I would like to thank the School of Engineering and Advanced Studies, particularly Professors David Waits and Michael Brenner, Catherine Holler, Christina Andujar, Pere Castells of Alicia Foundation, and to the Radcliffe Institute and the Schlesinger Library, Professors Barbara Gross, the Dean of the Radcliffe Institute, Professor Nancy Cott, the Foundation Director of the Schlesinger Library, Marilyn Dunn, the Executive Director of the Library, Becky Wasserman, Marilyn Altieri, and Dr. Barbara Wheaton, the Faculty Curator. Also, I would like to thank our fabulous team from the Office of the Senior Vice Provost, Roba Korshid, Jill Larson, Mirta Garcia, and many of our other volunteers. And as you will note, around the back, there are some outstanding chefs here, many of them from our own hospitality and dining services, and I would like to truly acknowledge the magnificent work of Ted Mayer, Executive Director of the Hospitality and Dining Services, Madeline Meehan, Director of Catering, Martin Breslin, Director of Culinary Operations, and in particular Martin, who without his help we would not have had the amazing celebrity chefs that are in our midst today. And in particular, our guest chefs this evening are Jody Adams from Rialto, Paul O'Connell from Chez Henri, James Hackney and Jiho Kim from L'Espalier, and of course, our own Martin Breslin. It is a particular honor also to have this evening the beer that has been developed by our chef Ferran Adria. The name of the beer is Inedit, and it is here for you to taste this evening as well. So that is quite a treat. Just a few more housekeeping notes, if you will bear with me. All purchased books have been signed and are available immediately after the lecture. We also may have a few books still available for purchase by credit card, and we do have computers if you would like to purchase them this evening. And just a note about the library display. We are unfortunately only able to accommodate 40 people upstairs, or the floor upstairs will sag. So we will try to monitor, but again, no food and only roughly about 40 people upstairs to view the display. And then finally, we will try to end promptly at 6 p.m. As I'm told, the public lecture after 6:45, if you do have tickets to the public lecture, your tickets will be invalidated and you will no longer be able to enter the ART theater. So if you would like to attend the public lecture, I believe we also have a couple of tickets left for the public lecture for those of you who do not have them. Finally, it is my great pleasure, truly my great pleasure, to introduce to you three culinary giants in our midst today. Mark Kurlansky, in his book, Choice Cut, said, "It is ironic that Auguste Escoffier, who defined French cooking for several generations, did so in London after moving there in 1890. His 1903 book, Le Guide Culinaire, became the professional cook's textbook explaining French cuisine for the next 70 years. I think, liken Ferran Adria to Escoffier himself. He certainly has defined cooking in the 21st century, and we are delighted to have him here today. Gourmet magazine has called him the Salvador Dali of the kitchen. Many have regarded him as the best chef, not only in Spain, but certainly the most creative chef in the world. According to Juan Marie Arzac, who is considered the father of modern Spanish cooking, Ferran Adria is the most innovative man in the history of cooking today. Ferran Adria, as many of you know, is the famous chef of elBulli, which receives annually, I am told, 2 million reservations each year for only 8,000 spots. It is located in a rather remote area of Catalonia in northeast Spain, and in 1997, elBulli acquired its third Michelin star, one of only 3 restaurants in Spain with this ranking. Many people have traveled to this legendary eatery, including our own provost, Steve Hyman, just very recently, a couple of weeks ago. And his son, I am told, Charlie, was an apprentice to Chef Adria for a couple of days 2 weeks ago. Chef Adria was born in Barcelona. He began working in restaurants at Castelldefels and then in Finisterre in Barcelona at the Barcelona restaurant. This was followed by compulsory military service at the naval base of Cartagena, where he worked in the kitchen. And then finally, in 1984, at the ripe old age of 22, he joined the staff of elBulli, and he became head of elBulli 18 months later. He has often said that creativity means not copying. And Ferran Adria ascribes to this principle. To this end, throughout the months when his restaurant is closed, new concepts, techniques, sessions, preparations are led by Chef Adria at the elBulli workshop in Barcelona. Our next culinary giant, Jose Andres, next to Chef Adria, is a native of Spain as well and is chef owner of the Think Food Group, the team responsible for Washington's popular and award-winning dining concepts Jaleo, Zeytinya, Oyamel, Café Atlántico, and the critically acclaimed mini bar by Jose Andres. He was, in 2009, named one of the Men of the Year by GQ magazine and is credited with, as you can see, is credited with introducing Americans to both avant-garde and traditional Spanish cooking. With the opening of his innovative mini bar by Jose Andres, Food and Wine magazine hailed him as the hero of the Spanish Revolution, who helped create the Spanish food boom in America. And last but not least, certainly, Harold McGee, who writes about chemistry of food and cooking. He has studied at California Institute of Technology and Yale University, where he wrote his doctoral dissertation on the prophetic title, quote, Keats and the Progress of Taste. After several years of teaching at Yale, he decided to move to writing a book about the science of everyday life. And in 1984, the publication of On Food and Cooking, The Science and Lore of the Kitchen, a 680-page compendium, came out, and with fanfare and much ado, and he received numerous awards for this book, including the Andre Simon Memorial Fund Book Award in Britain. In 1990, he published a shorter and more personal book, very interesting book actually, Curious Cook, More Kitchen, Science, and Lore. In the first chapter of The Curious Cook, he narrates his efforts to solve a variety of kitchen puzzles. And then in 2004, he published the second edition of On Food and Cooking, which won a number of awards, and he continues to publish in Nature, in the New York Times, the World Book Encyclopedia, and The Art of Eating, in Food and Wine, Fine Cooking, and Physics Today. I am truly honored to be in the midst of individuals who are truly sui generis in their own right, one-of-a-kind, unique giants in the food and culinary world. And we welcome them today and look forward to what I'm told will be a highly engaging conversation, discussion with them about food, science, and cooking.
With me, my English no es fantastic.
And mine, no either, and I have to do the translation.
Sí, estoy very happy. Bueno, antes que nada, thank you very much por el cariño que estamos teniendo de Harvard.
Gracias. He is really happy for all the affection that he sees from all the people here at Harvard.
Estuvimos hace 2 años aquí,
2 years ago, we were here
cerrando el curso de física,
closing the physics semester.
y cuando acabé el curso,
And when he finished the course, the class,
me dijeron que querían hablar conmigo para tener una relación.
the professors told him, we want to talk to you. We would like to see how we can develop this relationship further.
Y le dije, ok, perfecto. Me
And he
enviáis,
said,
me enviáis un email y ya haremos.
he said, perfect, send me an email and we'll keep talking.
Dice, no, mañana.
I say, no, tomorrow.
Entonces descubrí que era Harvard,
Then he discovered what Harvard was all about.
¿no? Y es algo que cuando se traslada al mundo de la cocina,
And this is something like when you translate it into the world of cooking,
somos muy parecidos.
shows you that you are very equal, the cooking world and the university Harvard world.
La eficacia e inmediatez.
Being very effective and on the spot. Everything has to happen right there.
Cuando vamos y pedimos un café,
When you go and you order a coffee,
como tarden 2 segundos,
if it takes more than 2 seconds,
te quejas.
you start complaining. Hey, what's going on here?
¿Eh? Querría dar las gracias a toda la gente que ha organizado el curso de...
He really wants to thank everyone that has organized this course, this
La
food
ge-
and cooking course.
La
science
gente
and cooking.
de Harvard y la gente de la Fundación Alicio.
All the people here at Harvard and also at the Alicia Foundation. You will know more about this foundation later.
Cuando estábamos con los chicos esta tarde, he dicho que era un día histórico.
When he was with the students before this afternoon, he said today is a historic day.
¿Por qué?
Why?
Es la primera vez que se hace un curso en una universidad
It's the first time that a course happens, a class happens in a university,
y además en la mejor universidad
and on top of that, in the best university, in the university,
de la cocina con una facultad.
and bringing cooking into the university.
Aunque pueda parecer mentira,
You know,
no se ha hecho nunca.
I mean, it's hard to believe, but this has never happened before. It's the first time ever.
Y además lo hemos hecho con la facultad de física
And you know, he thinks it's amazing that has happened with the physics department.
y ellos tienen que tener el honor
And they should take the honor
de decir, nosotros fuimos los primeros.
of to say we were the first. I mean, we were the crazy first. He didn't say that. I'm adding that.
Hoy hasta ahora,
Today, right now, this moment,
muchas universidades del mundo
many universities around the world,
se están planteando qué está pasando en Harvard.
they are asking themselves, what's happening in Harvard right now with these
Que hay
cooks?
unos cocineros allí.
Some cooks at Harvard? What?
¿Qué están haciendo?
What are they doing?
Y por esto quiero dar las gracias a Dey, a Michael, a Uye,
That's why
a
he wants to
María,
thank
a
Michael,
Ferran.
Dave, Uje, Amy, everyone for taking that risk, that first step of making this happen.
Ahora hablando en serio, yo sé muy bien lo importante que es hoy.
Talking seriously, he knows how important it is today
En toda la prensa mundial
in the world press,
está saliendo esta noticia.
this news of the visit of Ferran Adria and fellow chefs and scientists to Harvard to talk about food. Today is news.
Entonces, lo importante será aprovecharlo para dar un paso adelante.
So today is an important day to take advantage of this moment to move forward.
Yo sé que lo que les fuera gustado a ustedes es que José Andrés y yo cocináramos para ustedes.
But he thinks that probably what you will like is not listen us talking, but us cooking for you, right? That's what you will be thinking.
Yo antes es lo que me decían, oiga, venga a hacer la conferencia y después haga la cena.
Before, you know, they will call him, they will invite him to a conference, and then they will say, and after the conference, we want you to cook.
Y yo me los quedaba mirando y le decía, ¿usted cuando invitan al Frank Gehry le hace el edificio después?
When you invite Frank Gehry, he will answer them, do you make him make a building?
Es que es lo mismo.
So, same thing.
En vez de explicar un poco mi trayectoria,
Instead of explaining you his life, his story, his
vamos a ver
trajectory,
un vídeo de 4 minutos.
he will love to show you a 4-minute video.
Van a ver un poco desde cuando nació elBulli,
It's kind of a timeline of elBulli's story, from the moment it born
en 1961,
in 1961,
que era un mini golf,
that used to be a mini golf, you know, the mini golf where you play mini golf,
hasta lo que se va a transformar en el 2014.
and almost going forward into the future of what elBulli will become in 2014.
Bueno, thank you. Han visto un poco la historia del bulli, muy resumido.
You've seen the story of elBulli, a quick one.
Y en enero de este año decidimos que íbamos a transformarlo
In January 2010, they decided to transform elBulli, to change completely what elBulli is all about.
No sabíamos muy bien cómo,
He didn't have really a clue of how,
y una serie de circunstancias nos han obligado a acelerar la decisión
and a whole bunch of different circumstances has made him to accelerate the decision.
y ahora ya está muy clara.
And now, finally, he almost has the answer. It's very clear.
El 30 de julio del 2011 se cierra el restaurante
The 30th of July of 2011, elBulli will close as a
el
restaurant.
bulli restaurante.
elBulli restaurant will close forever.
Y el 31 de julio empieza un nuevo proyecto
And the 31st of July of 2011, the new project begins.
que es un centro de creatividad
And what it begins is a center for creativity,
en el,
culinary
en
creativity.
el mismo lugar que habéis visto.
In the same place you've seen in this video.
La misión va a ser crear,
The main mission will be to create
a través de una fundación
a foundation,
privada,
a private foundation
es decir, de mi socio y mía,
of his partner, Julie Soler, and his,
estará un equipo creativo de 30 personas,
will be around a creative team of 30 people,
no solo cocineros, la mayoría de cocineros van a haber otras disciplinas,
mainly chefs, mainly cooks, but other kind of disciplines will be part of that 30 people team.
y lo más interesante es que cada noche se va a colgar en internet todo lo que se cree.
And the most interesting part will be that everything they're going to be creating each day is going to be published on the web at the end of the day, each evening, sharing with everyone their
La cocina,
discoveries.
este señor, yo trabajamos 15 horas cada día.
You know, in the cooking, himself, myself, we work
O
10,
aquellos chicos que hay
15
también.
hours a day. Those chefs back there,
No tenemos tiempo para crear.
we really don't have time to create, to devote ourselves to creation.
No tenemos medios para crear.
You know, we don't have ways sometimes to create.
Todo lo que habéis
The
visto
money
aquí
or the place.
que hemos creado ha sido durante horas y horas y horas y horas de nuestro tiempo que les tenemos que dedicar a la familia y a la fiesta, ¿no?
Everything you've seen here is hundreds and hundreds and thousands of hours devoted to creation instead of to family or to have fun drinking with your friends in the bars.
Pero esto no puede ser.
But you know, but this cannot keep going on like that.
Y por esto, a partir de este centro, queremos crear un nuevo escenario
So thanks to this new foundation, this new center of creativity, he wants to create a new kind of a stage
¿no? Donde ayudar a toda la gente que trabaja en la cocina,
to help all the people that work in the cooking world, in the culinary world,
porque hay muchos cocineros en el mundo, ¿eh?
because there are many cooks around the world,
Millones,
millions,
millones.
millions.
Solo en China hay 6 millones.
Only in China there are 6 million cooks.
Entonces, estamos muy ilusionados en este proyecto.
He's really very happy with this project. It's like his new baby.
Y cuando conocí al provost, Steve,
And when he met Steve, the provost,
en Rosas, en elBulli,
in a recent visit to elBulli not too long
le
ago,
expliqué este proyecto.
he explained to him this project,
Bueno, dijo, "Hostia, muy interesante,
and he thought was very interesting.
tenemos que hacer algo juntos.
And he said, we need to do something else. We need to do more.
Bueno, entonces le seguí explicando un poco de que hasta ahora la alta cocina era un mundo muy endogámico. Endogámico.
Endogamia.
Un mundo que se miraba
Muy
solo.
cerrado. Yeah, he explained that the culinary world, the cooking world, was a world that we always look inside.
¿Ok?
We look only inside ourselves, into our own craft, to get inspiration or to keep moving
Y
forward.
que se veía como algo muy elitista.
And always the culinary world was seen at the high level, at the avant-garde level of cooking, something very elitist. Yeah?
No se entiende, ¿no? Porque un hotel en Manhattan vale normal, de 4 estrellas, vale igual que elBulli.
And you know, one hotel in Manhattan of 4 stars only costs the same as what is to eat at elBulli.
Y nadie nos ve como algo elitista.
But to stay in that hotel, no one sees that as being elitist. But to eat at elBulli seems like, oh, this is only for the elite.
¿No? Entonces, desde hace unos años en España hemos intentado llegar a la sociedad.
So a few years ago, he began with a plan to try to get to society, to the vast majority of the people.
Yo soy el presidente del consejo asesor de una fundación que se llama Alicia.
He's the president of a foundation in Spain, in Catalonia, called Alicia,
que con Valentín Fusté,
next to Valentin Fusté, the cardiologist,
donde trabajamos en cómo podemos toda la experiencia de la alta cocina que pueda llegar a la sociedad.
they are really working in trying to see how the avant-garde movement in cooking can really get into society, into everyone.
¿No? Y para hacer esto nos hace falta dos cosas, la sensibilidad y la educación.
And to make that happen, two things have to happen, sensibility and education.
¿Cuántas veces hemos hecho esto? ¿No?
How many times we've done that, right?
Millones de veces.
Millions of times that you go and you drink water.
Bueno, como,
Ok.
como no lo hacemos con sensibilidad, pues es algo animal.
Because we don't do it with sensibility, is an English word? Sensibility, I make words sometimes. If you don't make it with sensibility, is use an animal need, right? Used to drink because
Vamos a hacerlo con,
you're thirsty.
vamos a hacerlo con un poquito de sensibilidad.
Let's put some sensibility into the process of drinking everyday water.
Vamos a verlo
Let's take a look at the water,
y vamos a ver que es incolora.
and you see that has no color.
No hay tantos productos que no tengan color.
There are not so many products that have absolutely no color.
Vamos a olerla.
For a second, let's smell the water now.
No tiene olor,
Wow, doesn't have any smell.
es inolora.
Smell zero.
Muy pocos productos que no tengan olor.
Are very, very few products in the world that has no odor.
Cuando lo introducimos en la boca,
All of a sudden, we introduce the water into the mouth.
vamos a ver que está a 10 grados más o menos
Probably you're going to be finding out that it's around 10 Celsius degrees.
y reflexionaremos que el cuerpo humano aguanta de menos 15 grados a más 60 grados.
And all of a sudden, you're going to be thinking with yourself about, wow, the body can take temperatures around minus 20 Celsius degrees all the way to 60 Celsius degrees.
Un ice cream, un consomé. ¿No?
And then you understand that you can be enjoying something like goes from in a rainbow of temperatures that go from an ice cream all the way to a very hot consomme.
Después veremos que no tiene ningún gusto básico, ¿no? Dulce, salado, ácido, amarga.
So once you have the water in the mouth,
No,
you see.
sorry. Primero veremos que tiene una textura acuosa.
So all of a sudden, you're going to sense that has a watery texture. Wow.
Hay millones de texturas.
There are millions of textures.
Después veremos que no tiene ningún gusto básico.
And then you're going to find out too that has no basic taste.
Después veremos que no tiene ningún matiz al paladar. No es dulce, no es ácida, no es
So-
dulce, picante.
In the palate, you're going to find out that,
Astringente.
it's not sweet, it's not spicy,
No es astringente.
has no bitterness, has no astringency. You're going to be learning about it.
Después sabremos que es agua porque la educación nos ha dicho que es agua. Y culturalmente.
And then at the end, you know it's water because education has shown you that it's water, it's H2O. You learn about it.
Después veremos que si hacemos una reflexión, veremos que hay millones de personas que mueren por el agua, que qué pasaría si durante 4 días nos quitaran el agua.
If you keep thinking, you will think about these millions of people that die every day because they have no access of water or the water they are having is poison. Wow,
Entonces, podemos tomar la cocina y la alimentación de dos maneras.
So you can take cooking and eating two ways.
O así, ¿no?
Drinking it like in an animal state, just drinking it because you are thirsty and your
O con-
physical body needs it,
O con sensibilidad y con educación.
or with sensibility and education.
¿Sabéis cuándo es la última vez que se hizo una reflexión sobre la cocina como una emoción, como una experiencia?
You know the last time that someone really had a thought process about cooking and gastronomy and the meaning of cooking and gastronomy in our lives?
Una muy buena. Espera, ¿eh?
A very good thought process.
José Andrés lo tiene aquí. Son suyos, no míos.
That's a book. Well, it's mine, but everything is mine. Is his.
Mine,
So
mine. No,
careful.
Is the original.
That's the original physiology of taste.
De 1800.
826. Brillat Savarin. He was a man that was ashamed to put his name in the cover of the first edition because he thought his ideas were crazy. And inside were ideas like, tell me what you eat and I'll tell you who you are. But the most important one, and we need to be thinking about it, is that he wrote a phrase, almost like commandments, that he said, the future of the nations will depend in how they feed themselves. Very powerful phrase.
Entonces, ¿cómo puede ser que no se haya hecho ningún trabajo sobre la gastronomía y sobre la cocina? Es increíble.
How is possible that it's been not really a good, genuine work
¿Sabéis por qué?
at the very deep level, uniting science and cooking? You know why?
Porque es muy, muy complejo.
Because it's unbelievably complex.
Figuraos lo que os he explicado, lo del agua.
Imagine, you think for a second what I explained you about water only.
Si os hago esto sobre una comida,
If I do this same process through entire meal,
¿cómo el cerebro puede absorber todo esto?
how the brain can absorb all this thought process.
Entonces es un tema por lo que el mundo de la cocina no ha tenido los medios para poder estudiarlo.
You know, until today, the culinary world didn't have the systems or the ways to really study all these influences of cooking and the world. No?
Y el mundo de la universidad no le ha interesado.
And for some reason, the world of universities has never been really genuinely interested,
Fuera de excepciones.
with few exceptions, but very few.
Después de la sensibilidad está la educación.
After sensibility, there is education.
Como sabéis, uno de los problemas más importantes que tiene la sociedad hoy en día es el tema de la obesidad.
One of the biggest problems society has today is obesity.
Desde Alicia, desde la Fundación, hacemos un trabajo muy importante para la educación.
From the Foundation Alicia, they're really doing a very important work on that issue of obesity.
Yo sé que el presidente Obama está haciendo una reforma, según nos hemos enterado en las noticias.
You know, in Spain, in Europe, they are aware that President Obama, through his wife Michelle, they are really taking obesity very seriously.
Si no incorpora la educación de salud y alimentación en esta reforma, no valdrá para nada.
If we don't incorporate education in whatever they are trying to do, nothing is gonna happen.
Los que dedicáis, seguramente hay sectores aquí que os dedicáis a la salud, lo sabéis.
Probably some of you here that you are dedicated to health issues, and you know about it.
¿Cómo es posible que no se enseñe nada de salud y alimentación desde los 2 o 3 años hasta la universidad?
How is it possible that we are not teaching at the school level anything about eating habits and health in the university from when the children are 2-3 years old all the way to university?
Es surrealista.
It's surreal.
Te enseña todos los programas de nuevos de ordenadores, todo lo que quieras, tal, pero no te enseñan.
You learn about everything, new computers, top technology, everything, but no one is teaching you about such a basic thing as feeding yourself.
Una pequeña educación que te sirva
A
para
simple,
toda tu
small
vida,
education that will be with you forever.
para el tema, primero, ser feliz,
First, to be happy,
porque si comes bien alimenta el alma.
because if you are well fed, it will lift up your spirit, will feed your spirit too.
Después de comer una buena comida, siempre estás más contento.
After a great meal, you are always happier.
Segundo, si hay educación, no va a haber obesidad, va a haber
Second,
mucho menos.
If we concentrate in education, obesity rates have to start going down.
Por lo que significará que tendremos mucho menos costes sanitarios.
That means that we will have a lower health cost bill in the years to come.
Y entonces es fundamental la universidad aquí.
So he believes university is basic to succeed in this field.
Y sería importante que la mejor universidad del mundo
It will be very important that the best university in the world,
cogiera el compromiso
will
de cómo
take care of this issue.
de hacer un modelo, cómo tiene que ser esta educación.
How this education should happen, how should we incorporate education about food and eating habits at the school level, at the university level.
¿Qué hay que enseñar a un niño de 2 años?
What do we have to teach children of 2 years old?
¿Qué hay que enseñar a un estudiante de 18 años? ¿Qué hay que enseñar a un estudiante de 18
What
años
do we have to teach a student of 18 years old?
en relación de salud y alimentación?
When we talk about food and health.
¿No? También es importante, como la cocina está entrando en la universidad,
It's very important to know because cooking slowly is going to be entering into the university world.
el saber cómo en cada facultad cómo puede entrar.
To understand how every university is going to be incorporating the cooking world into their curriculums.
En historia,
For example, in history,
¿sabéis que hay 1000 veces más tesis de la cocina románica que de la cocina contemporánea?
it's 1,000 times more thesis about the cooking of the Romans than about the modern cooking, because almost is not.
No hay un libro de cocina contemporánea para que los estudiantes de cocina puedan estudiar. No existe.
Because it's not no one has done a book about contemporary history of cooking and its meaning in the today world.
Para la gente del arte,
For people of the art
que yo
world,
últimamente tengo bastante relación,
which lately more and more I have a big relationship with.
para el mundo del arte, el mundo de la cocina de vanguardia es un mundo nuevo.
For the art world, the avant-garde cooking is a new world that they are discovering happily.
Y que conforme lo van descubriendo es un mundo más apasionante.
And as they discover more and more what's happening in this cooking world, they are amazed about the possibilities that is bringing to their world.
El mundo de la ciencia ya hemos visto lo que está pasando.
In the world of science, we see what's happening, used with what's happening at the Department of Physics here at
Entonces,
Harvard.
yo creo que es importante que reflexionéis
So it's very important to have really a big thought about this,
y que la cocina es el lenguaje más universal que existe.
and really to think that cooking is the most universal language that exists today.
Y que es un vehículo maravilloso para educar.
And is an amazing vehicle to educate people
Y que,
about anything.
y que el mundo de la cocina somos un mundo muy participativo.
And the world of cooking, all of us, we are people that love to be part of society, to be involved in everyday issues.
Y que para siempre que nos pedís algo, ahí estamos.
And anytime you will need anything, the cooking world always is going to be there to help.
The chefs, and so we have some microphones, and faculty are not known to be quiet, so I'm sure there are some questions for Chef Adria or Chef Andres or Harold McGee that people might be interested in asking, and we have some microphones, so if you just raise your hand.
Vale, vale.
Arachu?
Tenemos poco tiempo ahora.
I'll translate myself.
Because we have few things that we have to speak. When you answer, probably we're going to be good politicians and answer something else, but don't worry, okay?
Doesn't work, right? Yeah.
Very interesting question.
I'll translate myself. ¿Quién se va a comer toda la comida de que van a preparar en la fundación y va a haber alguna posibilidad de que también la podamos degustar? Who's going to eat
respuesta
all
corta.
that food that they're going to cook at the foundation, and is there going to be any chances that some people have the opportunity to eat it?
No, pero siempre, esta es la pregunta que hace todo el mundo.
That's the question everyone asking.
Pero es como si le preguntas al departamento de ciencia de Harvard que qué van a hacer con sus investigaciones, da igual. Lo importante es la investigación.
Yeah. The important is the research.
No. Sí, lo importante no, claro. Para nosotros lo importante es la investigación. Otra cosa, y la divulgación. Entonces, da igual si lo prueban 5, 5.000 o 100.000.
Next. Oh, yeah. Yo respondo esto. Thank you. Wow. Yo resuelvo esta moto. It's so funny you ask me this because I just came from Miami from having a whole day with Dr. Mohamed Yunus, Nobel Prize. I created over the last year an organization called World Central Kitchen with the humble need of feeding the world. I have a restaurant mini bar, which thanks to the teachings of Ferran over 22 years, where I feed only 12 people a day, 30-course menu. And I'm very interested in feeding 0.1% of the population. But as a chef, I'm more interested in feeding the other 99.9. And this is where the relationship, and that's probably one of the reasons we are here, with Harvard or universities is so interesting to me. Over 20 years, I was helping in DC in an organization called DC Central Kitchen. The founder was Robert Egger, the best person in the world to fight hunger in America in a sustainable way. If you come to DC, visit DC Central Kitchen because you will see an organization that we don't only feed people, but we teach them how to become a cook. And then we find them jobs into society. And also we get any leftovers that the farm industry is producing that they cannot sell, creating a fascinating system to feed people, create an opportunity in a sustainable way. What I want to be doing next is bringing this experience to feed the world. I just came back from Haiti. I was there 10 days. Why I am interested in being here with you? Well, I can share what I learned with him, what I learned from Harold, and help them teach physics through the cooking world. But I have a hidden agenda. Some of you here are going to help me, and I'm going to help the world. If we give food to Haiti and we give rice, do you feel good? You feel good? You should feel ashamed. Why? When you give them rice, you know what happens? You are killing the local economy. So every time I see anyone giving food away, I tell them, what are you doing? With Dr. Yunus and what he's doing, with the microcredits, social business, we are going to stop throwing money into the problem, and we are going to start investing into the solution. So what I'm doing in Haiti is simple. I'm working on solar kitchens. Why? In Haiti, they only have 2% of the entire country with trees, because those people use the trees to do something so simple as to feed their families. If we give them the rice, but the world doesn't give them the answer about how to feed those people in a sustainable way, the only thing we are doing is throwing money to the problem, not investing into the solution. So used to end, World Central Kitchen, I hope, for me, it'll be a way to feed the 0.1%, but also to tell the 0.1%, you have the power to help me feed the other 99.9. And a university like Harvard, with the minds and brains you have, and the commitment you have, this is the new role. We need to be thinking about those, to feed them in a sustainable way that is logical with today's standards of moving forward. So what you're going to be seeing is in the next year, we're trying to do the first project, which is a kitchen, only with solar, where we will start cooking in a sustainable way for orphanage, for hospitals, to try to find a new way. Because if we keep moving that way, it's used, in Haiti is 9,000 nonprofits, 9,000. We can send 50,000 more nonprofits, and Haiti will still be the poorest country in the world. So this ain't working. We need to start thinking in a different way, and probably Harvard is the place to really start moving these ideas forward. Sorry, but that was the answer to your question.
There's another question in the back. Thank you. That was really... Steve?
Well, thanks. That was a great answer. It's a great opportunity. A very different question. What did each of you three have for breakfast this morning?
Sorry, I couldn't hear.
What did you have for breakfast this morning? Each of you three. I'm just interested.
I'm staying at a hotel. I had 2 eggs over easy, toast, not very good hash browns, and a cup of coffee.
Coffee. Only coffee. Coffee. Coffee.
8 coffees, 8 of them.
Jet lag.
8 and 8. The physics department has a great coffee machine. They're doing something on the water, I'm telling you. Rheology is working there.
Sí, pero dile que cuando hablamos de la educación hay que explicar que es mucho más importante el ejercicio que lo que se come para la obesidad.
And so going back, when we talk about education, it's even more important exercise than what you eat.
Que si tú quemas la energía de cada día,
If you burn the energy, the calories intake every day,
no hay problema.
you have no issues.
Hay una equivocación increíble con esto.
We have a big, we are really a bit wrong about this issue.
No, es decir, comer más o menos puedes comer de todo.
Yeah, eat more or less, you can eat everything.
Pero claro, tienes que hacer ejercicio.
But
We
you
have
have
time,
to
time for 2 more questions.
I have a question about the chemistry of food. There's been a revolution led by many of the participants in the course over the past 2 decades. What was the transformative event that moved from industrial use of some of these techniques to really the fine kitchen?
¿Qué ha pasado, no? Desde que se han utilizado desde el mundo industrial hasta la cocina de vanguardia. Responde a Harold.
Sí, pero a ver, es que esto es también ahora después, Harold, pero es educación, otra vez.
Everything is education.
No, esto no es una reflexión, a ver, no, en verdad, a ver, no es correcto esta reflexión. Sorry, pero no es correcta. Dime.
¿Tú has entendido?
Sí, entendí perfectamente.
This thought is not really correct.
Hace muchos años que existe esto.
I think my translation was not too
No, hace muchos años, en el mundo de la pastelería,
It's many years that the industrial world,
And the-
culinary world,
Esto
has
es de-
always been influencing
es de siempre.
the avant-garde,
es de siempre.
few top chefs world.
Es de siempre esto.
The kind of connection between the industrial food processing and the restaurant level avant-garde cooking, this relationship has been more or less around for a
Lo
long
que
time.
sucede es que la mayoría estaban en el mundo de la pastelería.
What happened, many of these industrial kind of ingredients, and they were always being used in the pastry world, all right, from the last 50 years.
Pero
as you
después
said.
el azúcar blanco
For example, sugar, the
Blanco.
white sugar,
es pura industria química.
is pure chemistry, is pure
El vino
industry.
es pura industria química.
Wine is
Todo
it's
es
a
industria, todo es
chemistry
industria
process.
química. Todo.
At the end, everything, beer, even if it's traditionally done, it's chemistry. Done in bigger quantities, or done in the small winery owned in Napa Valley. Behind is chemistry, science.
The new es el diálogo entre la ciencia y la cocina.
What really is happening today that is different from what has happened before in history, it's the dialogue between cooking and science. Dialogue. Scientists are scientists, cooks are cooks. One is not taking over the other, only like they are talking. We are talking finally in a way that we understand each other.
No,
Harold, do you want to
Harold?
comment? Do you want to comment, Harold?
I subscribe to that completely, and in fact, I would like to take my 30 seconds to say something about how wonderful it is to be here, sitting with these remarkable people, but also in this place, because I wrote my book at the Schlesinger Library, and my book wouldn't be the book it is without that library. I had the good luck of having both the Schlesinger Library, but also an enlightened publisher, something that's becoming a rare species these days, who I started writing this book on speculation, and I started writing it because I could not find a tenure-track job teaching Keats. So this was my fallback, to write about everyday life, write about the science of everyday life. And I picked food. I didn't really know that much about it. It turned out, had a spouse's library card to the Harvard libraries, and so I made good use of that. Went to the Schlesinger and found this amazing resource where I could start at one corner of the main reading room at the time. This is now the mid to late 70s. start in one corner of the Schlesinger main reading room with the Greeks and the Romans, and then work my way around the room to Julia Child's books on French cooking. So I could kind of take a sample every 150, however many years I wanted to make it, of the way people were cooking various kinds of things through history in different cultures. And I found some really interesting things. And so when I went to meet my publisher to talk about the book proposal, I was thinking at that time that the book would be just a very practical thing, a couple hundred pages, basically facts and nothing else. And he was listening to me. This is Charles Scribner Jr. But I started to tell him some of the things that I'd learned at the Schlesinger. You know, we cook meat this way, not because it's the best way, but because this crazy chemist 100 years ago convinced the cooks of the day that this was a good way, and in fact it's not. And so he listened to my spiel, and we had a wonderful conversation, and at the end of it he said, okay, I want to publish your book, so we'll work out the details, but I want it to be not the book you've been telling me you're intending to write, I want it to be a book that has those stories. I want it to be a book that's a rounded picture of food and not just how to do this and how to do that. And that gave me the license to write the book I did. And it affected not just my including history, but my thinking, well, if I include history, maybe I should include natural history. Milk is an ingredient. Well, where does it come from? Why does milk exist on the planet Earth? And what other kinds of milks are there? And why is it so transformable into such different things? So it just, having the opportunity to sit in that room and work on the subject changed my life. I wouldn't be sitting here if it weren't for that. So thank you, Schlesinger Library.
Thank you very much. One last question.
I had a question about how do you envision teaching what you learn from your creative center and disseminating the sensual aspects, the conscious aspects of eating, food, taste to children globally?
Todo lo que vas a aprender en el centro. You talk about Alicia, the foundation, or the Research Creativity Culinary Center at elBulli?
In terms of taking what you learn from the center,
How he's
and when
planning
you
to
talk
share
about
that? ¿Cómo se planea compartir?
disseminating knowledge
¿Cómo va a ser
to,
diseminar todo el
in order
conocimiento?
to reduce or prevent obesity globally?
Lo más importante es tener un orden y un esquema para poder colocar toda esta información.
You know, first, so I have very clear all the ideas about how to start, you know, passing away the information of their new discoveries.
Nosotros tenemos un esquema que creamos hace 7-8 años, que está pues con el que hicimos unos libros que son 10.000 páginas.
You know, they began creating kind of the plan in a whole bunch of books, over 10,000 pages long.
Que sería un poco el genoma de la cocina.
Which will be the genome of cooking. Yeah, they're working in this plan, creating almost the DNA, breaking down the DNA of cooking. Yeah.
Entonces lo importante es esto: es conforme vas creando, colocándolo en un lado.
So to make sure that as they have an evolution and they keep creating, to making sure that every single little piece start getting put into the right place. Of this kind of breakdown of the DNA of cooking.
Es decir, este sería el trabajo más difícil si yo no lo tuviera hecho ya.
This probably will be the most difficult work. He's done a lot of that work already over the last years. But his process is to keep kind of breaking down the DNA of cooking and its meaning to the world, at the creative level, at the social level, at the health level. Hope this answers your question.
With that, please join me in thanking our guests.